Hi, Joe Cerrone.
Al Rosen.
Welcome to cad-117, Intermediate AutoCAD, in our Zoom classroom meeting for today. Module 10. We'll be working on Module 10 this week. And Al, you've extended the time for Module 10. Does that sound right?
That's correct. We're extending it all the way until December 2nd. That will cover this week and all of next week. There's a couple of drawings there, and we want you to have as much time as you need to it. So we're adjusting some of the time spans for it. So the week as we come back after Thanksgiving, that's when this is going to be due.
And we're really in the kind of in a winding down mode. The time goes by very quickly once we get to Thanksgiving, and we've covered a lot of ground already. And so there's a total of 11 modules, and Module 11 will be released after. Go ahead, Al.
When we come back from Thanksgiving break, after the 2nd, we will have that. And Joe and I am going to be talking about it a little bit and seeing how we want to handle that. Might be a little change, a little modification on it, because we have very short and limited time after Thanksgiving.
But it will most likely follow the chapter 11 book of the text as we look at it. We were talking about it. So it'll be very similar to Module 11 in the textbook. We just want to hold back a little bit just to make sure that we have everything right and everybody's on the same page before we go into finals.
Yes, and if you can, there's a chapter review questions at the end of the chapter there that we'd like you to take a look at. Hopefully you can do some of it and hand them in.
Yeah, those would be bonus. And so, if you're one of those people who's on the fence with your grade, you're maybe between a B and a C or an A and a B, do the bonus work. That'll definitely help. Okay, so let's take a look at Module 10 from Technical Drawing 101. If you click on this link right here, remember the blue links are for the book and the green links are for the student files. And I actually, before I go and I open up the book, if you click on the tutorial file, it will give you the video. And I've gone through, and Al and I have taught this assignment a couple of times, and it'll show you how to do this model. So we're into 3D modeling now. You will need to download the file to be able to get that to work. Of course, you can draw it all if you want, but you don't have to. And then there's another video for the second assignment. Where we'll do this bracket. So we do have the videos created for that. And then you'll need the student files, which are located
On the content.
in the content tab.
Yes.
So we go to content, and then we'll get these labs. Let me go to a student view so that I make sure I do this correctly.
Fantastic.
And so we want the drawing files, these two. So you'll need to download this. And you'll need to download this. Download the tool slide 3D exercise and the bracket 3D exercise. And then open those files with AutoCAD. And I'm going to take this and I'm just going to put a line weight on it so that we can see it. And then here's the other exercise. With that, we can come back to our main splash page. So to modeling exercises 10A and 10B for this module. And then the textbook information is very good. And so if you click on this Technical Drawing 101, Chapter 10, you can either download this or you can view it in D2L. I've already downloaded it, so I'm just going to bring that up. The objectives are to define coordinates in X, Y, and Z axis. In other words, to be able to model in 3D, to be able to change our viewpoint, to be able to use press, pull, extrude, and region, 3D rotate, and then we'll also use subtract and union to create Boolean properties for our 3D models. We'll also be able to represent those in wireframe or in shaded mode. And so 3D modeling basics basically goes through how we would go through and work with these 2D drawings and our user coordinate system X, Y axis and our 3D models and being able to use different viewpoints. And so as we start to work with this chapter, we'll start to introduce things like isometric view, right view, top view, etc. And so the book does a good job of navigating people through it. They're using the 3D modeling workspace. And so I think we'll kind of dig into it as we start to work with it. If I switch back over to AutoCAD, and then I bring up the instructions, what the instructions call us to do step by step is to download, and I'm going to kind of go here to the project. We're going to be creating this model. And so we'll start by downloading the file, and then you can save it as tool slide, or I think we'll call it lab 10A. So I'll switch back over here to my CAD. And then once we have that saved, what it asks us to do is to copy this lower portion and this portion off to the side. You don't really have to, but it's not a bad practice. I'm going to switch over to 3D Basics. I'm going to turn on my menu bar. And you can see that it's got the basic create objects and edit for 3D. And so there's less commands, but they're the only ones that we really need for this exercise. If I want to make a copy of these parts, I'll say copy this and copy this from here over to here. Hit escape, back to our curriculum. So here's our copy. And then what we'll do is we'll press pull these, and we'll press pull this one on the left 3 inches and the one on the right 2.25. So if we go to conceptual, we'll be able to see it. If I go to press pull, hover inside the boundary, bring it up in the Z-axis and type 3. And what press pull actually does is it actually creates a region and then extrudes. Versus if we just tried to extrude something without a closed boundary shape, what would happen is we'd get kind of this spider web type of a look. And it doesn't look like a spider web in conceptual, but in wireframe it does. And this is not valid for us to do 3D modeling. I mean, it's a valid 3D part, but it's not a solid model. So if you're going to use the extrude command, then you have to make it into a region. But the press pull combines the region command along with the extrude command. So if I go back here, conceptual, press pull. So in other words, press pull is easier. And so we'll make that 2.25. Hit escape. And then we'll use the 3D rotate tool or the rotate gizmo. We click on the part and then we'll grab this Z axis and we'll just bring this until it lines up. Now, I like to have polar tracking on or even ortho because if it's 1 degree off, it can be a problem. You want everything to be perpendicular to each other or at right angles for this exercise. And then I'll hit escape, move the part off the ghost image, hit escape, and then do the same thing with the rotate gizmo. Click on the part, click on it, rotate it until it stands up straight. Like that. You can see I've got a tracking line from my polar, and then move it again until we track. Hit escape. And then we just use a regular move command and we can move this from here over to here. And then we'll use an O snap for midpoint. And we'll say move this from the midpoint to the midpoint. And then we'll hit escape. After that, we will union the parts together, which will fuse them. Otherwise, they still remain separate pieces. And so we'll use this Boolean operation called union, and we'll select them both and hit enter. And then we need to add the 2 holes that go through the bottom of it. And the easiest way to do that is to go to a wireframe view and then to copy the 2 circles from this corner or any known corner. And this is the bottom right corner. I don't need to bring it with me, but I know this is the bottom right-hand corner here. And so that will locate those 2 holes. And if I hold the shift key and push the middle mouse wheel, I can actually zoom and orbit to see that that's correct. Looks good. So then I'm going to go back to the extrude command and I'm going to extrude this one and this one. Enter. And when I'm creating holes, I over extrude. In other words, I just make sure that they go through the entire object and then I subtract them. And if I go to a conceptual view, you can see it a little bit easier. Subtract, select the large piece, hit enter, and then subtract the piece to remove from it. Check it, shift middle mouse wheel, looks good. Do it again. You could have done them, I could have done them both at once, but repetition makes a good training tool. And so there we have it. We can save the file. Save it as your initials, Lab 10A. And then we can go to layout mode and we can double click in this viewport and then we can adjust it so that we see our CAD model. And I've got to get it to zoom a little bit less. There we go. And the other thing I like to do is I like to use a conceptual view in the viewport as well. I'm just going to pull it off the menu. Visual style, conceptual. Double click, fill out the title block. And then add your name and the date and save it again. Okay, so that completes Lab 10A, and there is a video for that as well. 10B works pretty much the same way. Al, what do you think? Should we stop the video and restart it, or should we, or stop the recording and restart it and just post 2 videos?
I would say let's do 2 videos because it's not going to be too long.
So post it as 2 videos, yes? Okay, so I'm going to stop this video. and we'll create another video. So that completes Lab 10A.